After 25 years of helping people to feel happier and more relaxed and more in control of their lives, I realized that somehow the message just still wasn't getting through, that there's a way to feel happier in spite of life's problems. Unfortunately, our society gives us an endless barrage of messages that just keep telling us that when it comes to feeling happy and relaxed, our minds just aren't as powerful as medications and alcohol. However, I've seen over and over again a simple technique using our minds help people to overcome crippling levels of stress and anxiety and sadness and even anger. It's been proven in over 30 scientific studies to be effective. I've seen it work countless times in thousands of patients. I've used it to help myself. I've used it to help my family members. And it works in a whole range of people, from those who are just experiencing mild stress in everyday living to people who have severe depression, severe anxiety, and who aren't able to function and have tried every medication that's available. I'll always remember one very pleasant gentleman who was a middle-aged educator who was divorced and living alone and had no family in town, and he had a problem with recurring bouts of depression that just got worse and worse. They finally got so bad that he was missing work all the time. He lost his will to live and started thinking about suicide. He checked himself into a hospital, and by the time I saw him, he was absolutely convinced, because of all the times that medications had failed, and he had tried all of them and tried many combinations of them, and because of all the therapy that had not helped him, that only some highly experimental, powerful new medication could help him. So I taught him this simple method that involved no medication. And in just 3 days, his suicidal thoughts were gone, his will to live came back, and he felt ready to return to normal living as well as his job. Now, there have been lots of books written about this technique, but most people never even hear about it. And of the few who do, most of them don't get the full benefit from it because it's really not taught to them the proper way. So in thinking about how to solve this problem, it occurred to me that there's the old saying that a picture's worth 1,000 words, and sometimes a video presentation can engage your mind with pictures and sound in ways that words just don't. So I made a DVD called How to Be Your Own Best Friend that you can just pop in and watch on your DVD player or computer, conveniently allowing you to watch as you relax or save time, because your hands will be free to get everyday tasks done like sorting mail or folding clothes, while you watch and find out how to harness the power of your mind to help you to feel better. Here are some clips from How to Be Your Own Best Friend, Mental Self-Defense.
What exactly do you mean by mental self-defense?
Well, I've been studying Tai Chi Chuan, which is a martial art that most Americans call Tai Chi, for about the last 13 years. And I started to see a connection between the self-defense techniques of Tai Chi Chuan and the techniques of cognitive therapy, which is a form of talk therapy that I like to call mental self-defense. The connection that I see is that the fear of violent situations is one of our greatest fears, and much in the same way that the self-defense techniques of Tai Chi Chuan allow people to cope with potentially violent situations by turning a physical attack aside so they're not physically injured by it. Cognitive therapy gives us special techniques to use when life throws stressful situations at us. That way, we can defend our minds so we won't be mentally injured by life's challenges. Using the powerful scientific discovery that our thoughts and beliefs are constantly steering us toward either positive emotions or negative emotions, I'll show you how to use a proven but simple technique to steer your thoughts to the positive emotions we all want and deserve. This video clip is to be used only as part of a treatment program supervised by a licensed mental health professional. Consult your physician or therapist and get their approval before making any changes. And I've seen it work in many situations, in cases where people had severe depression, and I've seen it work faster than antidepressants, and I've also seen it work in my own father.
What about the everyday hardcore problems that average people face, like divorce or facing financial ruin?
Cognitive therapy can be very helpful for everyday personal problems like that. Just as you mentioned the example of a divorce. We can use a mental self-defense chart as a way of helping a person look at the thoughts that they have, because divorce is a very common problem. It affects at least 50% of the population. And so I see lots of people come to the office who are dealing with that issue or have had to deal with that issue. And divorce can cause a lot of people to become depressed. And I've seen people who come into the office and they felt like it was all over because their spouse was going to file for divorce. So let's look at a mental self-defense chart and we can see how cognitive therapy can actually help a person with this kind of problem. Okay, let's look at a mental self-defense chart dealing with one situation that has to do with divorce. Let's say the situation is my spouse left me. Now, you can use my partner, you could use my girlfriend, you could use my boyfriend, any of those kinds of situations that may mean a relationship breakup could be used in place of that same situation. And the destructive thought, in this case, the person's thinking, my life is over. And then they rate their emotions, sad, 100, belief, 100, and a lot of people really feel devastated when this happens, and they really do believe that their life is over because they feel terrible pain. I try to have a person then think about, okay, what might be the category of thinking, and I try to introduce these, and I'm introducing these to you one at a time because I think it's important to learn them one at a time rather than my just throwing a bunch of meaningless terms onto a screen without any examples in life. In this case, the idea, my life is over, is an example of something that I call polarized thinking. Some cognitive therapy experts call this all or nothing thinking. I call it polarized thinking because it reminds me a little bit of a person thinking of only the North Pole or only the South Pole and missing the whole world in between. Recognizing that everything isn't all good or all bad is something that people really need to learn to do. When you recognize that this is an example of polarized thinking, you can actually see, or if you really start to think about it, you can recognize that life doesn't end for everybody who has a divorce. Life doesn't end for everybody who has a relationship breakup. So you can actually write out a mental self-defense statement that incorporates that idea. Here's one example. You could try to come up with your own. I've never hurt so much in my life, but all we did was argue, and it was a great relief to come home to a peaceful house for a change. That's just one example. If you really think about it, there are a lot of positive things that can come out of ending a destructive relationship. And so we have to be open to the possibility that even though it's very painful, it's not all bad, because to come home and have some peace and quiet for a change can be a very good thing. And you may need to think about the other possible good aspects of ending a destructive relationship. It might be just the fact that you can come home when you want to, or you can leave when you want to, or that you don't have to be disrespected by the person you live with, or that you don't have to take care of someone who doesn't care about you. So there are a lot of potential positive aspects of ending a destructive relationship, and you can incorporate any or all of those into your own personal mental self-defense statement. The holiday season's creeping up on us fast, and that means more demands on us, more expenses, and a lot more people to deal with, and more emotional stress. And sometimes it's made even worse by the fact that this time of year just tends to make us even more aware of anything that was making us unhappy during the other parts of the year. Like patients of mine who've lost loved ones and they're not going to have them with them at the holiday times, and they feel really badly about that. Or other patients of mine who are really unhappy with their jobs and don't feel successful, and they feel like they just haven't gotten to the point where they thought they should be by the end of the year. So a lot of people really need a lot more help at this time of the year. And although there's been a lot of talk lately about the cost of healthcare, nobody really teaches anybody how to be an informed consumer when they need help with stress. You can't recognize psychological healing techniques that really work if you've never seen them before. But to recognize them, all you need is a little help. And I want to give people that help. But I can't do that in person, one-to-one, for all the millions of people who need it. But I can do that in a DVD program that shows you how the techniques work and how you can use them to help yourself feel better. It covers a wide range of topics that go all the way from relationship breakups, loss of loved ones, to problems with your job or your boss, and even how to reduce extreme anger, and a lot more. We cover 12 different real-life scenarios in the DVD, and the over 800 of my patients who've used it have told me everything from it's changed my life to it's changed my husband's attitude from completely negative about life to positive about life. All the way to a 16-year-old stressed out young man who told his mother that whenever he watched it, quote, "It makes me feel better physically." It's 90 minutes long, and so it's full of a lot of information. It's $20, and my patients have all told me that it was worth the investment. So if you want to get the same knowledge and resources and power that they have to help yourself feel better, just click on our online store. Be used